the imminent destruction of everything we know and love begins.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. For today's throwback review, we're going to be taking a look at the planet of the Transformers itself, Transformers The Last Knight, Cybertron. Now this has been a character or a planet that I've been wanting to take a look at for so long over on the channel. I mean, this thing is literally the planet of the Transformers. You can't get any more important character-wise than this guy, unless you count Unicron, but this is a really sweet toy as well. Now I managed to pick this up when Toys R Us were kind of having their end of year closing down sale, and it was for an absolute steal. I think when this originally came out in the Transformers The Last Knight toy line, it was something like 150, 180 pounds, which was just ridiculous. I managed to get this for, I think it was 50. For that price point, this guy is excellent. Now, this is also a reissue of the Transformers Cybertron Primus, so there's a lot of Cybertron going around with this guy, but I personally think this is the superior redeco as it looks really neat, and one of the most underrated Transformers 5 reissues in my opinion, especially considering that Cybertron was the big plot point of Transformers 5, for better or for worse. Now, we're going to get stuck straight here into the details. Here we have Cybertron in its planet mode, and for a race which is so advanced, my goodness me, Cybertron is so ugly. I mean, it has these various different skyscrapers just sticking out all over the place, loads of different gaps, definitely isn't a very nice circular sphere, but really intricate mechanical detail. I mean, as we just take a look at the entire thing, it looks sick in terms of detail, and they've even gone the extra mile of actually stamping on some nice Cybertronian hieroglyphs. Trespassers will be obliterated. As we take a look here at the top of the planet, again, we have various different ugly skyscrapers just sticking out here, there, and everywhere, which kind of looks cool and ugly at the same time. And I really like, I think it's this piece here at the back. As you guys can see, it kind of looks like a crater or maybe some kind of mutated city. I actually think there's a specific name for this, and I'll be sure to pop it on screen if I do find out its origins. But as you guys can see here, really nicely sculpted. This thing was super cool, and I love how Hasbro actually gave us some proper supports for us to place this on the ground so that it wasn't just rattling around. And not to mention, this thing is hella chunky. It's definitely quite a thick, durable piece of plastic, but it has a load of gimmicks packed into it. So as you guys can see, we have various different, I want to say, mini-con ports scattered throughout this. If you picked this up originally, I imagine you could attach some mini-cons, but the accessories we get with this, I know, right, we actually get accessories with a planet, would be one, a Mega Lock, which you do need in order to kind of activate various different gimmicks and to actually transform Cybertron, and we also get the legendary Planet Key. Now sadly only one Planet Key, there's not four as showcased here with all of the various different slots, but this one's nice enough. Really nice detail, especially with the Autobot logo slap bang there in the side. I guess it doesn't give a crap about the other inhabitants, that being the Decepticons, but let's get it transformed up into its defense mode. Yes, a planet actually has a defense mode, and I think when transforming this, it would literally annihilate 50% of its population, so hey, collateral damage. But anyhow, you're going to want to smack the Omega Lock here into the top of Cybertron, and I think shift this section back, and it should cause two massive chunks of the planet to flip forward to reveal these enormous cannons. Now, you have really got to hack someone off for an entire planet to turn against you, and these things look as if though they would annihilate you out of existence. They are massive, as you guys can see, very nicely detailed as well. I love the transparent blue plastic, and they also have a missile firing gimmick. I mean, can this toy get any more enjoyable? So by pushing this big orange button, bang, there goes one of the planets, and let's do it here to this side. Cybertron needs to defend itself from Unicron. Bang, there goes another missile. So really cool gimmicks packed into this guy, but it doesn't end there, as he actually has a proper robot mode. But before we get into that, I just want to give you guys a very quick comparison with a modern day Studio Series The Last Knight Deluxe. And as you guys can see, Cybertron is massive, but in theory should be a heck of a lot bigger. I'm hoping that we can eventually get a HasLab version of Primus into the collection, as it would just look so freaking cool alongside Unicron. But anyhow, let's get down to transformation of the legendary planet Cybertron and probably kill off the rest of the inhabitants, as various different tectonic plates are about to shift. So first of all, you're going to want to take this section, which is his huge planet butt. That there will click into place very securely, and I think things are going to get a little big now. Basically, you're going to want to take this massive chunk at the top and transform Cybertron's legs. So we'll pull all that down, and surprisingly, yes, he does actually have a waist joint, something which we're lucky to see on a modern day deluxe class, but rotate this here all the way around. What we can then do is help aid Cybertron commit even more genocide against its population by taking a few continents and essentially deploying them as the toes of the planet. So Cybertron really doesn't care about its inhabitants, but flip these here forwards, which surprisingly, despite them being quite small, do actually act as quite a stable support structure. We're then going to want to flip these knee pads forwards and bring back in the legendary Omega Lock, as this thing has a super cool gimmick packed into it. Now, at least on my copy, it works a little better here on this side. This side, for some reason, likes to get stuck, but you're going to want to peg it into this huge port, and I do believe there is supposed to be an electronic function with this. I think it was supposed to glow, but sadly the batteries have died. But you would rotate this here, and as you guys can see, it would cause this entire piece to rotate and these huge shin cannons to flip forward. So that was nuts. Really love the gimmicks on some of these older figures. We could then take these missiles, shoot these sections forwards, and then for some weird reason take this kind of crane hook thing and also shift it forwards. I guess Cybertron's going to try its best to mend as much of the planet as it's damaged during transformation, but basically repeat the same process on the opposite side. Now we can come up to the top of Cybertron, and this is really where I think the design team had so much fun with the gimmicks. And not to mention, check out all of the amazing sculpt work that we actually had embedded within the core of the planet. But to kickstart things off, you're now going to want to take the planet key, stick that into this port here, which should cause these cannons to transform, which is really cool. Come here to this side and do the exact same. And probably one of my favorite gimmicks about this toy would be the transformation of the shoulders, the chest, and the head. So bring back in that massive Omega Lock, stick it in the center of the core of Cybertron, shift it up, and bang, we get this really cool electronic sound effect. The shoulders flip up, the head pops out, and it just looks nuts. We're then going to want to, for some finishing touches, flip down these cannons, as of course he still wants to take out Unicron or some Decepticon motherships. And there we have the legendary planet Cybertron, fully transformed up into its robot mode. And for what this guy is, I mean, I think it was originally released, I want to say in 2003, 2004, maybe a little after that, but this is a really nicely done figure. It's definitely well over a decade old mold-wise, and I like it. Now, as we home in on the details, it's nice to finally put a face to the name of the planet. So there we have Primus, aka Cybertron, and I love the details that we have all the way throughout this guy. I also love the color scheme. That was the main reason why I picked this guy up when in comparison to the original Cybertron toy, because I just thought the orange and the blue looked so cool, and I'm a sucker for the live action movies as well, so anything kind of related to that I was always going to pick up. But as you guys can see, I mean, check out all of those weapons that he has packed into the shins. Cybertron definitely isn't slacking in that department at all. And as we come around to the back, we have his massive planet ass and loads of planet junk here, which, to be honest, actually makes you appreciate just how much plastic and how hefty some of these older figures were. I mean, this thing is enormous. I'm not too sure whether or not it was a Titan or a Supreme class back in the day, but it certainly could have been a leader. I mean, surely not. This thing had way too much plastic to be a leader. Now, in terms of other features, he doesn't really do that much. You could articulate him. I mean, he does have quite a few points of articulation here at the head. He has proper ratchet joints in the arms, etc. And I love the individual finger articulation. And depending on what planet or person has annoyed Cybertron, he has the relevant articulation to illustrate his frustration, but we'll save that for another day. He also has a waist joint and loads of different ratchet joints here in the hips and knees, just so he can kick other planets up the backside. So a really cool figure. In terms of weapon storage, you're going to want to take the planet key and the Omega Lock, snap them together, and we can stick that there into the chest of Cybertron, which actually looks kind of cool, and if anything, is a huge blaster again for him to decimate an entire planet with. And so there was my throwback review for the Transformers The Last Night, Mission to Cybertron, Cybertron, aka Primus. I think this is a great figure for a mold which I believe is over a decade old. It's fantastic. The plastic is so thick and durable. Transformation isn't that complex, yet I'd go as far as saying results in a really wicked bot mode and definitely a sick planet mode. I mean, this thing is an awesome display piece. I've had it in planet mode for the best part of 5 years, and I really like it. I actually think it looks a little cooler when in comparison to, I want to say, the original Transformers Cybertron Unicron toy that we got released a few years back. But do we need an updated version of this guy? Absolutely. I mean, we've got Unicron from HasLab, we need a new Primus, and I think it's a character that is definitely going to happen. I mean, Hasbro are already dipping their toes into Cybertron characters. We've seen it with Metroplex, we've seen it with Override, so I do just think it's a matter of when they're going to make it, other than if they're going to make it. I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comment section below on this throwback review and the legendary planet Cybertron. Definitely be sure to let me know what you guys think, and until my next review, I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.